does, don't you think she does an excellent job of getting information out to us?
Yes.
Yes. And I don't think anybody's ever done that. We've never been so well connected. So
She
that's
doesn't let you forget a thing.
nothing.
job.
No,
Between
she's
David
super-
and Diane, yeah.
Yes, they do. And they're a great team together. They tag team really good. John, Sunshine Club, Sunshine Committee.
Okay. This position, I think is unique to our club in some respects. In my field of view, I haven't seen this position in any of the other clubs. Doug, did you see sunshine related? Well, let's talk a little further, you'll understand it better. The object, of course, is to be sensitive to the needs, the life cycle events and concerns, illnesses, and some of the members of our club. Way back when Jim Tinkham passed away, how long ago did that
15 years ago.
be? 15 years ago. Well, George had the job, and I took over from him at that time. So that's how long I've had this job, and I've enjoyed it in many ways. But I see the flowers when that's appropriate, fruit baskets when that's appropriate, whatever events for our members. I lean toward fruit baskets because I think they're better value than flowers, which don't last for so long. But the object is to be sensitive to our members and what's going on in their lives and find out if it's something we can do. On a few occasions, we've even provided meals where that was appropriate. Don't do that very often, but once in a while it's appropriate. Gracious.
When you're not around, do you have a backup job?
Well, I do, and I'm leading to that. I had a terribly embarrassing event happen to me that reflected on the club. I was out for a couple of weeks, and Bill Rhodes' mother died. And we missed that. The recognition of, and sensitive to Bill and to do something for Bill, we missed it. Well, at that moment I said, gee, I gotta have some good help to make sure this, the person pinch hitting for me didn't get the word apparently. So Tricia graciously agreed to help me with this, and she certainly has. When I'm out, she sees to it, and so it's been an enormous help. Thank you very much.
Good, Tricia.
But anyway, that's basically it. Other clubs do this somehow, I suppose, but to my knowledge, we're the only club that has a sunshine fund, a sunshine committee that sees to these matters.
Is that part of our annual budget? Is that budgeted each year, John? Is that how we funding this?
Comes out of club services. But the
I-
avenues of service are, have money budgeted each year, and very few of the avenues really use it, so we don't run into any problem if we take this out of the club services budget.
Well, Ken, thank you very much, because I've given you some whopper bills. But I just bring in the bill, I get the bill from the florist or whatever, and Ken makes it go away.
And I will say from my perspective that there's times when I am very, 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 very busy, especially when I was in merger and things like that, could not come to the meetings. I felt at least I was contributing something because I could tap in and let a person know I cared. So a very neat way to keep the club and me incorporated.
I'm in an FC organization, our local chapter on board of directors, but the only way that John or Trish can keep from getting sandbagged in the future is that as we become aware of an illness, to make sure, or a death in the family, make sure that we get the word to them.
Dave, thanks for mentioning that. That's terribly important. The eyes and ears of the whole club are necessary to make sure we don't miss any important things.
We had that happen in our organization.
Thanks for bringing that up.
So it's
Mary, I was uncomfortable making a telephone call last week to John. I was terribly concerned about Betsy and the procedure we were getting ready for and would be facing. Betsy going into surgery at 7:30 on a Friday morning. we received 2 cards from this club. And from my perspective, it was wonderful. The expressions, the prayers, the notes, it meant so much to me personally, and I know Betsy echoes that. I agree with what Dave has said. Communication is so necessary. And ladies and gentlemen, if there's something that's going on, please give John a call and let this club show its concern for each and every one of us.
And Tricia too.
I think as a club member, it feels good to know that somebody's doing that for us. And making us come into the home just because he did it or she did it. I think that's, for me, that's gratifying, knowing that someone's taking care of that and making us all feel like we have gone into their home. I think that's one of the primary service things we do. It's really part of the heart of the club. The 4-way test, Mr. Hurd, are you going to talk about that, or Ken?
Mr. Hurd's the expert.
Well, in 25 words or less, and I'm gonna talk fast, so listen fast, okay?
It's fine.
Rotary International is unique in having a 4-way test. You go to any club in the United States, and I've been on West Coast, North and South, and they recite this every meeting. I'm sure and hopefully that the rest of Rotary International does it. Now, it came from Herbert Taylor in mid-30s. He was told to go in and take over the club aluminum company. It was bankrupt. And he went in, came back, and said, no way, it's going down. And they said, go do it anyway. And he went back in, and he was really stymied. Now, if you read his story and his family, he said a prayer one night. He woke up at midnight, grabbed pencil and paper, and wrote down those 24 words. And he took it to his board of directors, and they all liked it, and his officers. They took it to the managers, and they took over the company with a 4-way test and brought it out of bankruptcy. Now, Club Aluminum is, you know, the club heavy aluminum cookware. That's right. That's how it came to be. Now, when he came in as president of RI in, was it 40-something? He brought it into Rotary. Now, another side of story about that, good friend of his was Walgreen, Mr. Walgreen, and his fledgling pharmacy company. He took it in there, and every training session with managers, they got a plaque, the 4-way test. And a couple of us visited the local district, Walgreen, and there was a plaque on the wall. And he said, oh yes, every manager in every store in the U.S. has the plaque. Now the plaque has their yeah, on it. Yeah. Now, our club, when Jim Hodges was president, we started really working on this. And the first thing was, let's get the 4-way test placard, okay, this one here, out beyond the walls of our club. And thousands of these were given away back in when Jim Hodges had. And we still take these and give them out. And one of our lawyers gave one to every one of his clients. He had hundreds of them and took them out. Now we've also, excuse me, done several things, getting around to the other clubs and beyond the walls, getting it out from behind our club walls. We took it to Washington, D.C. And we had the club, 535 plus 2 Blitz. We took 36 students, Interact students from 2 high schools, and they hand-delivered this with a letter to all 435 reps, 100 senators, and hopefully we got it to the president and vice president. Unfortunately, it hadn't done much. Except,
Waiting on that to bear a little fruit.
except the students really got it. And I gotta tell you, these high school students walked into these offices, and we had a Rotarian paired them up 2 by 2. I wanna tell you, their demeanor and their way they put the word was just phenomenal. Really was great. So that's what we've done here, and please keep getting this thing out. It's the best story that we have to get out, I think, especially in this day and age.
You know,
I agree.
don't forget our four-way test discussions in the local schools too.
Yeah, we we did that to the down at what was it?
But,
Tech. Get that the TGDs, wasn't it? Teen discussion groups.
Yep.
The TG.
A history lesson question. Who was our club president when we began to recite the four-way test at the beginning of each meeting?
Ken?
No. Who was it?
Don Hertz.
Is that right?
That's when it started. That's when we started. You know.
You are just a walking history book.
Yeah.
He's full of it.
But by the way, we're going to tackle the club history again with Dave Mansfield's okay next year.
Very good, excellent. And I think the four-way test is something that's just awesome for us. When I was at the airport, I had it on my wall, and I noticed when people walked in, even when they were mad because their bags hadn't gotten there, they would look at that up there, and it almost like made them read that before they started talking. So it was kind of a cool thing to do, and I
Let me add one more thing. When we started this, and we said, hey, let's get this out, Pete Griffin had a pregnant question, and it stopped us all. He said, have we taken it home yet? And there was dead silence, dead silence. I took it to my son, he put it in his office, his boss came in, said, hey, that's great, can I get one? Scott said, yes, you can. Yeah,
great point.
yeah.
Great point. Well, we've come to the end of our kind of list of people and things, and I listed here the Rotary monthly theme so that, you know, sometimes we try to get our speakers to go with our monthly theme. Sometimes we digress, but there is a theme each month with Rotary to keep us on track with our objectives and our goals. And the Rotary service projects on the last page tell you the 6 areas that have been predominant in Rotary, from Rotary International. And then we take them, and as Joe said, we're different, we're unique, and we're meant to be. We're meant to be unique to this community and this locale, because that's where we are. So Rotary International across the globe has all these premises, these structures, if you will, and we're able to climb that ladder and take those and make them ours. And that's what makes us who we are. And each club, even in the district, is totally different. So as people we're different, as clubs we're different. And this club in particular has the camaraderie and the fellowship and the heart that just makes it what it is. And one of the things, privileges of Rotary, is giving service, building goodwill, and then high ethical standards. One of the obligations is to give time and talent and to attend. Excuse me. On that note.
Pat her in the back, Joe.
No, don't touch her, don't touch her.
No, that we did leave.
No, don't touch her, she's okay.
I'm good.
Do you want the new members to say something?
Yes.
Go, Jim.
Well, I was honored when Paul asked me, because we go back a little while, quite a while, something like 19 years, and to look at it and that type of thing. I personally, as a priest, I've always been concerned about getting involved in the community, staying behind the wall of the church. And so this fit in with a lot of things that I just saw was important. And so I welcomed it as an opportunity, another way of reaching out to do part of the other things that I do with Empower Hampton Roads, the Human Rights Commission, and things like this in the city, and that type of thing. So, and again, it makes you connected too, and being connected to lots of different people, you know, it's kind of fun. I find the uniqueness of this group amazing. I mean, so I'm delighted to be part of it, that type of thing. And I'm going to work with David to see how I can continue to function and support and continue to help to serve our international service while we do that. It's not inventing the wheel, but to see how we keep that energy going with us. We'll talk with David about that.
Thank you, and we appreciate you joining us.
As most of you probably heard last week, I've been involved in Rotary for 20 plus years and moved to this area and wanted to find a club to join, and I went out and met with 5 or 6
That's the right one.
different clubs in the area, and I'm very happy that I decided to join this club. I think I echo Jim's comments that it's a great group of people in the club. It's very active. You do a lot of different things. I'm amazed at how many different things this club is doing simultaneously. Most clubs are only doing 1 or 2 things at a time. This club, it seems like there's 6 or 8 things going on all the time.
Typically, we try to spread it out a little bit, though.
Yeah,
More than this year.
This year's been impacting.
right. I mean, obviously, my history is with you is very short, but I'm thrilled to be part of this club, and thank you all for allowing me to join.
We're glad to have you. When Doug first came, he said he was shopping, and we told him he needed to stop right here. And he went out, and then when he came back, we said, no, you really need to stop right here. And he did, and he stayed with us. Do any of you have anything else to contribute?
One more thing, and that's membership. And if I could go biblical and go and make disciples. You know, over the years, I've talked to clients and that, and they couldn't make our Friday mornings. And I turned them over to another club. Just recently, the gentleman who owns the ink store down there at Boulevard across from the library, he talked to me. I had my coat on, and he talked to me about it. He said, geez, I really would like to get involved, and my wife too. So I found out he lived up there at Great Neck and Shore. I said, you need the camp, Cape Cameron. So I called the president there and told him to get a hold of him. And maybe the other one is Don, the one I gave you recently.
And I sent him a note with a free breakfast card.
Yeah.
We'll see what that does.
But at least get them in to another club if they can't make ours.
Exactly.
And, you know, it's interesting, after the zoo project Saturday, I went to the Gosport Art Festival in Portsmouth, and I had on a shirt with a Rotary emblem that I had worn, and several people at booths asked me about it, commented on it, so I was really kind of surprised, but happily surprised, so I'll make a point to wear that out more
Father,
often.
what is that?
Yeah.
New scapular.
There you go.
Doug, just to follow up on membership, Des and George Dandelides did the same thing you did. Des is very proud to say, and I've heard her say it on several occasions, she said, you know, when we moved down here, we wore a package, and we were in there in a shop jaw, and we looked at different clubs. And so they're not there real often now, but they're there in spirit. And but I've heard that, and it is true. And along those same lines, I was talking to a friend of mine last week, a lot of you know, and it sounds like Northside's in real serious shape. You know, they're having 5, 6, 10 people show up for meeting on Mondays. You know, that doesn't last too long. And they're constantly recycling their president. I think Nancy Jocelyn's president again this year. So wouldn't be surprised to see them turn the charter in. So if you know of anybody that's in that club, what few's left, 10 or 12, I think the last time I saw the list that came out recently, they were down to like 15 members. You know, just don't let those people, you know, leave Rotary totally. There are still some good people. Some can't make breakfast, but you know, if you hear that goes down, let's reach out to those and try to keep them involved. You know, because Northside's been around for a long time, and they were part of us. They were part of us when we got chartered back in 1980. But
They sponsored us.
yeah, they're one of our sponsors. So but they sound like they're in real bad shape.
But the age range here is pretty good too. That's helpful.
That was nice of you to say that.
I heard some comment about, you know, somebody referring to, you know, somebody in their 30s being insulted if they were, you know, called a youth, and I'm sitting there thinking, are you kidding me? You can call me a youth anytime.
Yeah, but you're not in your 30s.
I've just been warned already. Yeah.
It's a relative thing.
Okay.
He's got kids in their 30s.
Yeah, I do.
Two final things here. If anybody has any other comments? Go ahead, Jeff.
The other thing I wanted to add to the general topic, Steve Waters is going to talk about the Rotary Foundation, and I want you to understand, we're not talking about contributions only. That's an opportunity. It's a tremendous opportunity, whether it's in your will or cash or whatever, but do not forget the other opportunity you have to contribute to the Rotary Foundation programs. We have had people like Chester who nominate somebody Bachelor Scholar to Israel. Am I correct in that? maybe I mixed up, John had nominated somebody who went to ambassador, as ambassador scholarship to Belgium. The district has somebody who went to Australia as a Peace Fellow student. We have had team leaders go to Japan and Taiwan from our club. And so there's other ways to contribute other than just money to the Rotary Foundation. And I'll just throw those out now, there's a lot more opportunities.
And one of the great ones is actually those international conventions. The one in Lisbon should be fantastic. I've been to one overseas and, oh, I haven't either, just Chicago, that's as close as I got.
That's like being overseas.
That is, yeah.
Well, and the one next year's in Australia.
Right.
It's too far to go.
Beautiful country.
Just to ask, has everybody seen the email from Diane that George, a car ran over his toes? They're gonna be housebound. I talked to her today, they're gonna be housebound for about 3 weeks because he can't go out, and she said, and if I'm not there, he'll be getting up and trying to do stuff, and he'll be, you know, how that is. But
I'll
just-
have cards in the morning to send to him to
Okay.
cheer him up, maybe.
Yeah, because I think that's hard to be housebound like that.
Well, we encourage you to send an email. So
Yes,
it's
that's
good.
great.
Good idea.
And
wasn't
on a
blind.
final note, how many love this fireplace and this fireside
Thank you.
atmosphere?
But I also would say, even though I haven't eaten the food, that's another reason, but the food was wonderful.
Yes, it was.
Yes,
Very,
yes.
very good.
Yes.
That's Mary.
I know Mary, yes.
Mary
That and
in charge of
Chick-fil-A.
food.
Thank
Very
you.
quick and
Thank you.
fair, yes. Thank you, and thank you all for coming, and I'm sure our new members appreciate the support.
Well, thank
and
you
you're
very
welcome.
much. It was helpful.
Thank
It really
you.
was.
Great, thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Always interesting, always saying so.
Eat Mary's food.